Pick Me for Destiny versus Pick Me for
Professor
Russia?
Jang and Rudyard, they differ in a really important way. They do basically the same thing in terms of their content, but they differ in an important way.
One of them is insane?
Jang abuses his kids. Rudyard is basically an abused kid.
Oh.
All right. Well,
Wait, which one is the Pick Me for Russia? Which one is the Pick Me for Destiny? Which one is which?
what if all this debate's not so erudite? Which is sort of an insult. You blocked me. He doesn't want to talk to me. He wants to talk to Nuts Erudite. Means you're easy. You're easy mode.
Easy mode.
Remember, he ducked out of the Vosh debate. That's not exactly high level.
I mean, he debated Vosh once.
Here we go. I would pay $100
What if has debated Vosh once?
to watch Rudyard talk with you. I can't make Rudyard talk with me, but I will accept $100 to try. Is this the guy who met Odin? He met Odin. He became Satan.
He had a whole debate with Vosh. He had a whole ass boring debate. Actually, his debates are very boring. What if has? So
he
there's no entertainment.
Existed at all points in history. I'm a member on the other channel. Oh, okay, that's where I recognize you from. All right, here we go. Hold on to your butts.
I'm not expecting much. Honestly.
The mood music ready.
Question: what is wrong with a military dictatorship?
So there's multiple tiers. 95%+ of regimes in history are authoritarian. And
What?
95%+ of regimes in history
I have to listen to that again.
authoritarian.
What the fuck?
Question: what is wrong with a military dictatorship?
So there's multiple tiers. 95%+ of regimes in history are authoritarian. And
Okay, I need the word regime defined for me because that's definitely not true.
What?
95%+ of regimes in history are
95+%. Okay.
authoritarian. And authoritarian is one strong man on top who runs everything. There's
So no, that's not true. That's not true at all. Where did he take that number from?
tiers, though, where some of them are enlightened. And when you look at authors like Aristotle, they were talking about the benefits of monarchy. And I'm not a monarchist, but monarchy is you have a long-term incentive for the leader to care about the population.
Someone needs to have a conversation about the fact that a solid 25% of right-wing influencers are just disabled people that are being abused by billionaires. This guy does not. They're putting him on TV like a circus animal. He doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's crazy.
Yeah.
He needs therapy.
Yeah,
And that works a lot better than something like the Soviet Union.
Well, I want to ask you. I wanted to ask you specifically about.
Like, let's be
mentioned
clear
what's
here.
going on today.
Let's be clear here for a second.
People called him a historian, for God's sake. People actually called him a historian. Unironically.
Professor Jang and Rudyard, they differ in a really important way. They do basically the same thing in terms of their content, but they differ in an important way. Jang abuses his kids. Rudyard is basically an abused kid, and I feel bad for him. I've come around to. I just feel sorry for him. I think he's a creative, horribly maladjusted person who went down the pachinko board of life and ended up in just a weird, effed up place.
I wanted to ask you specifically about. You mentioned what's going on today.
That is very depressing. A very depressing interpretation. One moment, I have to turn on the light. There you go. I found my glass. I didn't have light.
You compared that to, say, the British or the French. So my question is more so, what would be bad about the United States becoming a military dictatorship?
The military would be... you could have a situation where the military is corrupt. It shuts down capitalism. It shuts down freedom. It shuts down...
What the fuck? He really doesn't know what he's talking about. He really doesn't have any clue what he's talking about. The military could be corrupt and shut down capitalism and shut down free... Fuck me, man. Fuck me. What incentive would the military have to shut down capitalism? What exactly would be the military's incentive to do that? That makes no sense at all. That is just rambling of a madman.
Stop trying to sell me on military dictatorship, Rudyard.
The functioning of a society, and the good things we take for granted die, and those things are fundamentally dependent on freedom.
What if...
Hello, Gray, you wannabe. Gray, what if Haze just said that the bad thing about military dictatorship is that they could be bad and corrupt and they could shut down capitalism and all the other things that we love.
Military dictatorship emerged in the United States that was based entirely upon traditional American conservatism. And the military by force said, we're not going to allow leftism anymore. We're not going to allow the courts to supersede the will of the people. And they just, through military rigidity, enforced the right cultural worldview.
That's
So
why I said
they would just override the will of the people. People don't want military rigidity. What the fuck? Whatever.
there's a huge Overton window for authoritarianism because you're trusting the leader a lot. If
It's not what an Overton window is, Rudyard.
you look at Emperor Augustus, who was the first Roman dictator, he was one of the greatest statesmen in history.
You're opening a whole written window. Oh my god. This person had interviews and he was unironically called a historian. He was unironically called a historian by people who interviewed him. I cannot believe this embarrassment. It's opening a huge Overton window.
So when Rome did the transition from democracy to monarchy,
Translation.
they had one
Did he actually say translation?
of the best rulers ever. From dictator, he was one of the greatest statesmen
Oh,
in
God.
history. So when Rome did the transition from democracy
He did say translation. I cannot believe this.
to monarchy,
Is it because he did not want to say the word transition? Is that it? Is the word transition a forbidden word now? A slur?
Translation.
they had one of the best rulers ever, and things governed very well until Tiberius and Caligula showed up, and then it got a lot worse. And with monarchies or authoritarianism, you're trusting and the reason that a lot of the older authors preferred monarchies to military dictatorships is that the monarch has an incentive to pass things on to their children. So the monarch has a multi-generational incentive, so they're less like
Actually, depends. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth had a electoral monarchy. So the kings were elected. There was no passing down shit to your children because the monarchs were elected in free elections.
likely to hurt things like freedom or the free market, because I put rule of law above democracy. Because if you're a society with rule of law, it means you have functional freedom. It means you have
What? That makes no sense. That's the rule of law says nothing about whether or not you have freedom or not, actually.
you can have capitalism. Because keep in mind,
You can have capitalism without the rule of law.
So, but
Yeah, you can.
let me ask you, would you...
Arguably, you already have capitalism without the rule of law. Arguably, you've always had capitalism without the rule of law. Capitalism is the rule of capital. Laws are enforced based on whether or not people with capital want them to be enforced.
How would you feel if there was a military dictatorship that enforced the things you wanted to exist?
everyone wants the things they forced. Everyone wants the things that they believe to be enforced.
So would you be happy?
Everybody wants the things that they believe to be enforced. How true, Rudyard? How true. Let's move this over here and let's move this over here so I'm not craning my neck the entire time. I really should get used to doing that. I keep putting OBS on this monitor. It should be on this monitor.
If Donald Trump
That's a rookie mistake, President Sunday. That's a rookie OBS mistake.
became a supreme dictator and used the military to enforce laws, but it was everything you wanted in society.
I would not be happy with that. What I will say is that the reason you could not have Timcast in any other Western country, because they've had left-wing authoritarianism
What? What? What is he saying?
remove the rule of law and personal freedoms, where
What? What the fuck is he talking about?
once you start pulling that away, you very quickly end up in a society where you
There are no right-wing podcasts in Canada, dear friends.
Yeah, there are no right-wing podcasts or shows anywhere outside of the US, I guess.
lose a lot, and it's one of those things where I put property rights and rule of law above everything else in my framework.
But so I guess
We're just gonna leave it there. Not gonna explain.
my
Because it's a nonsensical rambling.
ultimate point is, when you look at the history of the United
It's funny, not because like what Rudyard's saying is nuts and poorly thought out, because it is. What's funny is that there are people who then try to have a serious conversation with him, and because they are actually
Yeah, I know. That is the weird part, that people actually seriously talk to him about this shit. It's incredible. Hornet's biggest fan says, famously no right-wing UK podcasts. Of course not. Of course. Also, hello. I think I've seen you in the comment to one of my videos. Was that you? Hold on. Apologies. Just want to make sure. Oh yeah, you've commented on the normal gay man throws minorities under the bus video. Thank you.
stupid, they have to take him 100% seriously. And they can't go like, oh, that's a weird thing to say. Can you elaborate on that? Can you make this?
Yeah, you just roll with it. It's a very bizarre conversation. Why is he even on Tim Pool? Why does anybody treat What If Alt His seriously? I just cannot fathom. Especially after his long crash out, crazy flow of consciousness ramble video.
For me. Because you can politely talk to somebody who's completely out to lunch and you can ask them to like clarify points and you can get at something kind of interesting. They can't do that. So they have to go like, yes, I see. That is how profound. Moving on.
Yeah.
It's funny.
United States, there are varying degrees of cultural enforcement across the board. Obviously not military dictatorship, but until you get to Abraham Lincoln, I suppose.
Or consider this. Maybe the people talking to him are just as stupid and crazy as he is. Have you considered that? That they just have a more professional cadence about them, but at their core, they're just as crazy as he is. That's why they don't really question what he says.
Pretty serious, the Civil War. But their blasphemy, for instance, was illegal up
Trigonometry doesn't exist. Trigonometry can't hurt you.
Until like the early 1800s. My view largely is that if everybody in this country was morally homogenous,
then nobody is. Oh wait, no, that joke has been overplayed.
They'd be completely happy. Like let's say everybody in this country, 100% of people, were Christian theocrats.
You know what's crazy about that, Tim?
I don't think everybody would be happy, actually.
That we had that once upon a time. They weren't happy.
Yeah.
They'd have no problem with a member of Congress proposing a bill of a commandment law.
All right. Let's think about this for a second. All
right, let's do it.
If Christian theocrats are happy in a homogenous culture where everybody is a Christian.
Hornet's biggest fan says, no problem. I like the video. The leaflet is miserable to listen to. I figured I'd drop in after finishing it. Oh, thank you very much. So this is your first time watching me? You found me through the video? Would you like me to introduce myself? Would you like me to tell you what I do, where I do it, etc.? Because I actually do quite a lot of different things on a few different channels. So maybe an introduction is in order if you want. Also, as always, I have to ask you if there are any other streamers that you watch. Sorry.
Why do they have Congress? Why isn't there just a king and nobles telling them what to do?
Good question. In a theocratic, completely theocratic thing, the structure of the government, I assume, would be completely different. That is a good point by President Sunday.
Why is that a thing?
Good question. Why would that be a thing?
Cromwell weeps.
Christian theocracies fell at the hands
Oh
oftentimes.
no, not your Erudite debates. What if Alt His? Oh God. Okay, let's go then. Let's go. What if Alt His debates? Not so Erudite.
Of Christianity, because
Oh my God, I love you. All is forgiven. God, she's so beautiful.
the idea that people will stay like wholly, like unified in the perfect way, insofar as that people will be happy, just doesn't happen, right?
Agreed.
Because
Like
people
the United States today used to be morally.
Oh no, she was here. I didn't even know that she was here all this time. I thought that was a separate thing, but no.
Christian theocracies fell at the hands oftentimes of Christianity, because
Oh my God, I love you. All is forgiven. God, she's so beautiful.
the idea
Oh my gosh, he criticized her so much, but now that he has met with real stupidity, now suddenly President Sunday is warming up to not so Erudite. See, everything, as I say often, everything is a matter of perspective, isn't it? At the end of the day, everything is a matter of perspective.
idea that people will stay like wholly, like unified in the perfect way, insofar as that people will be happy, just doesn't happen, right?
Agreed.
Because
Like
people
the United States today used to be morally homogenous.
What was that sound? That was She's awoken the dragon, the maw of the...
Also, the United States was never morally homogenous. That is a nonsensical statement. I don't even know what that means, that the country was morally homogenous.
Dimensions has opened. That's the whispers of the corridors of time.
Like unified in the perfect way insofar as that people will be happy just doesn't happen, right?
Agreed.
Because people
like the United States today used to be morally homogenous to a great degree, and then it started fracturing.
I don't know what that sound was.
Rudyard, are you okay?
How do you know it was Rudyard? Hornet's biggest fan says, I found a slightly older video of yours that I liked and wanted to see a newer one and stuff. You can do one intro if you like, but I don't know if it's needed. I do watch a bunch of other streamers. Oh, can you name them? Can you name the streamers that I watch? That you watch? I don't. Can you name them? So, I'm Lucy Haze. I'm the biggest Polish Jewish trans streamer. Even though I'm a really small content creator, I'm still the biggest Polish Jewish trans political streamer. On this channel, Lucy Haze, I do gaming, reaction content, art content, and language content. All these things I relegate to this particular channel. Okay? Then I have the Lucy Haze network, which I've actually linked in the chat by linking my side page. And on that channel, I do politics, news, I cover the war, and do all the things basically related to domestic politics of Poland, as well as international relations, broadly speaking, and what's happening around the world. I cover that and I discuss that on the network channel. And then I have the third channel, and that channel is called Lucy Haze Films. And on Lucy Haze Films, I upload interviews and documentary style material related to my journalism work in Ukraine. I very regularly go to Ukraine and I interview families regarding and organizations regarding the situation of children in this war. So children that live in Ukraine and suffer from bombing every single day and have to live through the war, and how that reality affects them. Children that have been kidnapped and rescued by NGOs that organize very secretive and very confidential rescue operations. And I have interviewed psychologists that work with those children, as well as a few children themselves. And then there are children that are in occupied territories by the Russian Federation that are also rescued. So I also have conducted interviews with them. And then I prepare them and I upload them on that channel. And I write articles, and then I sell them to outlets. My second article is about to be printed this month. So I'm basically a journalist, and that's what I do, roughly speaking.
Is everybody else hearing that? Rudyard's just while Kyle is talking, Rudyard's just like,
how do you know it was Rudyard? How do you know it was not Tim Pool's camera guy that did the whole weird sound? How do you know it was Rudyard? It must have been someone from Tim Pool's team, to be fair to Rudyard, right?
you join the Serpent King as family.
I would argue that since the Civil War, like the bifurcation actually started around the time the country was formed, because Thomas Jefferson wanted to actually complain about slavery in the Declaration of Independence, but they were...
Thomas Jefferson didn't even free his slaves after he died. Thomas Jefferson reproduced with slaves.
Oops. I mean, maybe he wanted to complain about slavery while having slaves. Some people just want to eat their cake and have it too. Grayon Wannabe says, Occam's razor, half joking. I don't think I've ever seen a clip where the cameraman was audible. Oh, fair enough. But also, fair enough. Hornet's biggest fan says, sounds like stuff that very much would interest me. Very nice. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Oh, and I also have a Patreon. And I organize... yes, I also do art. I am also a bit of an artist. For example, I have a Patreon. And on this Patreon, I I'm working on mini history essays because I also do history because I'm a bit of a historian. If Waterford Hess can call himself a historian, then screw it. I'm calling myself a historian, okay? Because it's at least I'm not insane like Waterford Hess. So I have a Patreon, and the lowest tier is $1. And on there, I still haven't uploaded the first one. I have to upload my first mini history mini essay. It's gonna be about the Warsaw Ghetto, during World War II. So I'm gonna show you. I also do art on that because I'm a bit of an artist. This is my Patreon post about being able to be a tier 1 Patreon. Where is it? See? Hello, a reminder you can become a Patreon for just $1 and enjoy most perks. Almost daily comics, history, mini essays, and discounts on art. Thank you. Yeah. Crayon Wannabe. Once I get a job, I will subscribe to Patreon. Still waiting on a worker's permit. Thank you very much. Even just $1 is okay because I'm Polish and I live in Poland, so $1 is worth much more for me than to an American. Yeah. Is it nice? Is it a nice artwork? I upload mini comics. I can show you one mini comic that I've done because I usually lock it behind $1. I'm gonna show you a $1 comic that I made. Where is it? Show more. I'm gonna show you the newest comic that I've drawn, the mini comic. It's locked behind the $1 thing, but I'm gonna show you a sneak peek. This is it. See? I've tried new poses and stuff. It's pretty okay. I'm improving. I do a bunch of different things, and my goal is hello, Trasbanki. Hello. So my goal is to grow from a micro streamer to a small streamer. My goal is to try to attract and have at least 50 people concurrent every stream. That's my goal, to grow from a micro streamer. So, yes. What does that mean? Banki. TTR. OMG Sisa.
Which is a 4-letter word I'm not sure I'm allowed to say on YouTube, by the way. And he put a frickin' price on essentially his spouse after he died in his will. Thomas Jefferson didn't give a shit about slaves.
Concerned that South Carolina and Georgia would not join the effort. Noted that
Christians and
grievance.
the king, yeah.
And so there was a
No, you were doing so well.
around the time.
What happened?
And so there was
What happened with Erudite?
No.
Why did she mess up?
Slaves.
Concerned that South Carolina and Georgia would not join the effort.
He also wanted the king, yeah.
And so there was a
No, you were doing so well.
Nobody's perfect, President Sunday. Nobody's perfect.
Because Thomas Jefferson wanted to actually complain about slavery in the Declaration of Independence, but they were concerned that South Carolina and Georgia.
Imagine, he wanted to complain about slavery in the Declaration of Independence. He wanted to complain about slavery. What a weird sentence.
Yeah.
Would not join the effort.
He
If
also
they
wanted to yell at
included that
Christians and
grievance.
the king, yeah.
And so there was.
Okay, riddle me this. The slave states had fewer working voting whites in them. Why were they allowed to implement the 3/5 clause? Because the North was also profiting from the money gained by slavery. Every single part of America was complicit. Full stop. They brought in a ton of money. Everybody, for some reason, it's actually
I'm pretty sure that the money from slavery was, among other things, the thing that allowed the North to do the whole, what's the word in English? Industrialize, right? That's how the North gained its advantage over the South.
weirdest thing, and it never even occurred to me until I read The Half's Never Been Told, when the book Brooks recommended me. It's like, people legitimately do not talk about slavery like it had tremendous economic benefits. Like, it wasn't like,
I mean,
like the reason
that was the main point of it. What do you mean people don't talk? Okay, I'm becoming really worried about the Western world and America and the Western world in general. What do you mean people don't talk about slavery in terms of its economic benefit? That was the main point of it. My pen is going to be available pretty soon, so I'll be able to resume art very soon. Come on, like I'm I'm not gonna lie. This was like a gut punch. We don't talk about slavery in terms of it having a big economic impact. Yes, we do. Of course, we do.
The reason why there was a resistance to ending slavery was literally because it made people exceedingly rich.
Yes. Wait, what the fuck? It's like President Sunday is talking about this as if it was this huge discovery. Grayun wannabe. He's kind of right, but because to frame it as having economic benefits comes very close to it sounding like a good idea because the West is fucked up. This is fucked up. Just because something brings a lot of economic benefit does not make it good, right? Like it's beneficial to, for example, not care about any safety regulations and just not care about food quality and sell people poisonous shit and make profit out of it because it costs to have standards, right? Or not care if cars have any sort of safety measures when it comes to how much emission it kind of takes out. It is insane. Like the profit thing always has seemed ever since I was a teen, always seemed the most obvious thing in the world. Just read a book. And don't even read a non-fiction book. Read Gone with the Wind, right? In Gone with the Wind, it's very explicitly described how the people in the South were super rich, and suddenly when they lost access to slavery, they became nobodies overnight. They just became poor, right? That is a huge description of the profit motive, right? Does that make sense? Hornet's biggest fan says, most people I talk to here unfortunately do focus only on the moral aspect and not the fact that there was an economic benefit that encouraged it. I'm American. Grayun Wannabe says, also because talking about class disparities taboo after the Revolutionary War. Like, yeah, these things are obvious if you think about it for like 2 seconds. But the way we talk about it is not in economic terms. Definitely makes sense, yeah. I mean, isn't Gone with the Wind one of the most famous literature pieces? Isn't this like the super famous book? And there was also a movie. That book, as well as movie, depicted the economic impact of slavery existing, as well as of slavery ending for everybody involved. Like, how is it discussed that slavery was just a thing that was done for sport? Like, it's exploitation of people. That's the whole idea of, like, what other revelations am I supposed to bring to the table on this stream? That colonialism was also about the economic benefit, the economic benefit of exploiting other peoples for their resources. Crayon Wannabe, the movie is famous. I legit didn't know about the book, never seen it though. Oh, read the book, do not watch the movie. The movie, as famous as the movie is, the book is vastly superior to the movie. Let me just say one difference between the book and the movie, and you will understand why I think the book is superior. So the protagonist is a spoiled girl, basically from a slave-owning family, and she has, on the outside, she's very well-spoken, soft-spoken, kind woman, kind girl that is nice to everybody. A lot of people like her, and she is treated like a very nice person. But on the inside, she's a very ugly and disgusting person. She has internal monologue where she constantly mocks, belittles, and just criticizes everybody. She looks down on everybody. She finds many people disgusting, and she's a very bad person. And it's all depicted in her internal monologue as opposed to her exterior nice behavior. Do you know what the movie did? The movie removed all of the internal monologue of the character and only left the nice behavior that she has on the outside, which basically butchers the entire point of the character. That's why I prefer the book to the movie. Reunionity, they reverse the justification for exploitation with the cause. We talk about the mindset that they are inferior people, but not that the mindset came from the ability to exploit them. Actually, seeing people as inferior is a perfect pretense. It's the perfect justification to exploit them. If you know, if people are if you have an inferior people, then it's not immoral to use them as labor, right? People don't feel guilty much over using horses for work or using mules for work and many other work animals. So if a whole race, quote unquote, of people can be inferior, then they can be exploited for work. They can be exploited for economic benefit. It's tied. It's tied together. It's very, very tied together, interlinked. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The justification by the exploitation came first. American racism developed as way too. Yeah. I'm really shocked by what I'm hearing from President Sunday right now. I'm actually dumbfounded that I'm actually that caught me off guard. I'm not gonna lie.
Country exceedingly rich.
But President Sunday had to read a whole smart book recommended by Brooks to even think about that.
Every single part of America, including the part that fought against slavery, was guilty of slavery expanding.
And do you know why the North was against slavery at some point and there was a war? Because the North sort of outgrew the economic necessity for it, which was also obvious for anybody that studies the Civil War and how it went down. Like the North didn't want to stop stop slavery because we suddenly are moral people and want to free people. No, they just didn't need them economically anymore. Unlike the South, which was very dependent economically on them still. God, Jesus. Okay, this whole thing, I did not expect this from a President Sunday video. It's a bit shocking. Okay? It's a bit shocking. It's one of those moments that President Sunday has those moments when he looks at people and says, oh, you didn't read this, you didn't know about that. And now I'm looking at President Sunday and I'm like, wait, this only occurred recently? Also, it grinds my gears to hear Northerners talk shit about the South modern day because they learn about the Civil War through the moralistic lens and just conveniently forget that redlining was illegal in the South, but not in the North. Northern US cities are still more segregated than southern cities. Also, on average, much less diverse. I'm gonna, one moment, okay?
Done.
One moment. I heard Fido bark. Also, if you want the best country, and this is why what you're talking about, Gray and Wannabe, is exactly why the best state in the United States is Maryland. Because Maryland is between the North and the South. Okay, Maryland is in perfect harmony. Maryland is in perfect balance, as all things should be. Which, by the way, is reflected by its flag. Okay? It's reflected in its flag that symbolizes the unity of peoples that came together. And Maryland is very diverse. Maryland is, in fact, the best state. Grayun Wannabe says, not saying the South is good. It's also fact. I'm just frustrated that we're still playing the North versus South game based on who was right during the Civil War instead of looking at what happened. I had a friend who lived in Maryland for a while. She really loved it. I know. Maryland is a great place. We should all have I should get and fly a Maryland flag as part of my set. Do you think that would be a good idea? All right, let's do this. Let's unpause.
A general bit of, let's call it acrimony.
But yes, President Sunday really shocked me with this. This was another shocking President Sunday moment when he said that he only realized the financial incentives after having read the book recommended by Brooks.
But it started to bubble up in the 1820s when there was a perception in the 1820s that a civil war could actually happen in the United States, though it didn't. And then it did happen, in 1861. Since then, you've had this clash
Rudyard, you're deflating.
between two polarized worldviews in this country.
To be fair, he's Canadian.
Kind of irresponsible spending that caused.
I'm Polish. Let that sink in. I'm Polish, living in Poland. I think people would think you're from there. I have an accent. I don't think people would think that I'm from there. My accent would betray me very quickly. Crayon Wannabe says, as a southerner, it was clear to me from a young age, even though it was carried it around in actual education.
So many business ventures to fail. You're forgetting the third rule.
At Calibgrass super chatted
Why is that
$10.
dono not
I have a
activated? Oh, there we
confession.
go.
I used to be a Destiny fan until I
Gonna
found
work?
your channel. Thanks. Now doing real
it gonna
philosophy
work?
and not just YT slob.
Everyone hold on to your butts. Is it going to work?
What happened? Also, if you wanna support my journalist work, there's two ways to do it. Might as well chill a bit. You can go to my page and subscribe or donate on it, or you can become a Patreon. If you donate any amount of money on the page, you will get the super cool reaction that I set and revived very recently. The donation reaction. I'm not gonna spoil what it is, but it's a very iconic. Lucy has a donation reaction thing.
It might be a bit delayed.
Is if you have a group of people that believe
Okay, I think I need to go into stream elements quickly. I'm so annoyed that it's so inconsistent. Okay.
President Sunday has failed. President Sunday has failed with his reaction. Mine is consistent, by the way. Mine always goes off when somebody donates.
Okay, so streaming tools, overlays.
Mine always works.
Let's update that.
Also, the editor should have cut this out. The editor should have cut out President Sunday tweaking his OBS, Streamlabs, whatever.
Boop. Boop. Okay, that should work. And now I should be able to go into data and reports, activity feed, and I should be able to replay that.
That's the kind of irresponsible
But it made no
spending
sound.
that causes so many business ventures to fail. You're forgetting the third rule.
At Calibgrass super chatted $10.
no sound.
I have a confession. I used to be a Destiny fan until I found your channel. Thanks. Now doing real philosophy and not just
Refresh the
YT slob.
cache. Let's audio control. Let's turn audio control via OBS off.
President Sunday has failed. Okay? Somebody should donate even the smallest amount of money on my page so that you can see how my super cool react looks like. I outdid myself with it. Okay?
Okay, hide
I
this
outdid
one.
myself.
Hide that
I'm
one.
proud of myself.
Hide that one.
Oh God.
Did that make a noise? Did you guys hear that?
President Sunday, you have
heard
an
it already.
you have
It
an
did work.
editor. You have an
Oh,
editor.
weird. Why can't I hear it? Hang on, I should be able to hear that. Why can't I hear that? One moment. Let's try that one more time.
That's
There
the
we
kind
go.
of irresponsible spending that causes so many business
This should have
ventures to
been
fail.
cut
You're
out.
forgetting the third rule.
Jesus
At
Christ.
Calibgrass
Now I
super
can hear
chatted
it.
$10.
Huzzah.
I have a confession.
Sorry about that.
I used to be a Destiny fan until I found your channel. Thanks. Now doing real philosophy and not just YT slob.
You're welcome.
the exact same
Maybe I should have like this speaker thing. Should I have this speaker thing whenever somebody donates and leaves a message? Should I have a message read out loud?
thing. The things they argue about are the minutia. You know, in the 90s,
People
the
kill
difference
over the minutia, though, right?
sure, and
What's that? Sorry.
the minutia. You know, in the 90s,
People
the
kill
difference
over the minutia, though, right?
I didn't understand what she said.
She said people kill over the minutia though, right? That is what she said. I'm not even a native English speaker, okay? English is not my first language, and I understood what she said. People kill over the minutia though.
Sure, and it can spin wild out of control. But in the 90s, Democrats and Republicans lived together, got married, and their
Has Kyla gotten better? Has she become actually better at debating?
arguments were over like how much in taxes versus like how long a woman should be allowed to have an abortion. And it was like the Republicans were like, I think 16 weeks is too long, and Democrats are like, it's got to be 18 weeks.
That was just the political.
Now-
I mean, she's been gaining experience, right? Hasn't she debated like Andrew Wilson? Which is, I've got a slub video for you after this. Apparently, is somebody did a little bit of embarrassing of Andrew Wilson, and I'm not the biggest fan of Andrew Wilson, so I might enjoy that.
The political Overton window, though, there were still these
I
ideas.
guess what I'm saying is that when you look
Is he the one breathing like that?
at the
Who?
moral worldview of Democrats and Republicans, the majority of the country in like 1994, they overwhelmingly overlapped.
People
And-
kill over the minutia, though. That's lame,
Yes,
but
yes, she did. Yes,
fine.
So they were pretty okay with like, I mean, like certainly we had protests for the Iraq and Afghanistan war, but still people generally were like, well, you know, 9/11, right? They rallied around George W. Bush even after 2000. Ultimately, my point is this, just to simplify.
That's the kind of
No
irresponsible
one would
spending
care
that
about
causes so many business ventures to fail. You're forgetting the third rule.
At Taymustard620 super chatted $10.
Thank you, Tay. Appreciate it.
You should not have a long, super long, and I'm saying with a long dialogue when somebody donates on top of the text to speech, because it just becomes a jumbled mess.
Military dictatorship,
I think.
that was enforcing exactly what their worldview was. Only the dissenters would. So
I would
if you
say
had,
fools only don't care about that. I would
Everyone is a fool.
say, well, I don't
Mine is quick, snappy, and elegant. My donation thing, that is.
Thank you, truck driving beard man.
think everyone's a fool. I think like the one of the things that I love about like America and like American tradition, like Greek philosophy, is that like we're built on a tradition.
What? Since when is America built on Greek tradition? The first time I'm hearing this, that America, the United States, is built on Greek tradition.
Of people thinking beyond just their own skin and preferences. This is why
President Sunday is wincing.
Kyla, you cover and are buddy. You cover for and are buddy with someone who sends illicit messages and
Minors.
non-consensual intimate videos to a minor. Kyla, darling, no, you ain't the person to say this.
you're probably familiar with Rawls and like the veil of ignorance, right? So it's this great kind of political philosophy where it says,
Oh no.
Oh, yes.
Oh no.
Oh, yes.
Careful.
Yes.
It's not. Rawls isn't doing what you think he's doing.
you should imagine a world where you can't know what body, gender, etc. you'll be born into.
This
what
literally
society do you want?
This literally
Okay. Rawls doesn't say you should. This is very important. Rawls's conception of justice is like, okay, how do you... Rawls is concerned in a very long-winded fashion. I find Rawls very boring, but Rawls is concerned to understand how you get justice in a strictly formal system. Rawls is not saying you should. Rawls is not saying you should. Rawls is saying imagine, period.
Okay.
It's a thought experiment. He's not saying you should.
sounds like an argument against universal enfranchisement because the average person doesn't conceive of the world like that.
What happened to him? What happened, President Sunday? What happened to you? You were so dumbfounded.
I need to hear that one more time.
Listen to it again.
Fuck me. I'm Team Kyle on this debate.
dissenters
Yeah,
would.
you
So
are.
if you
You're
had-
fools only.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. And it's funny. It's actually very entertaining to observe. I told you, everything is a matter of perspective. Everything.
Don't care about that. I would say,
Everyone is a fool.
well, I don't think everyone's a fool. I think like the one of the things that I love about like America and like
Okay, doesn't understand Rawls, but understands Rawls more.
American tradition,
More.
like Greek philosophy, is that like we're built on a tradition of people thinking beyond just their own skin and preferences. This is why you're probably familiar with Rawls and like the veil of ignorance, right? So it's this great kind of political philosophy where it says you should imagine a world where you can't know what body, gender, etc. you'll be born into.
This
what
literally
society do you want?
This literally sounds like an argument against universal enfranchisement because the average person doesn't
Socialix says, why can't we have a debate about a giant Joe Rogan? What? What are you saying, Socialix? Also, hello, Socialix.
conceive of the world like that.
This is like listen.
That's the kind of irresponsible spending that causes so many business ventures to fail. You're forgetting the third rule.
At Dodgy Archetype 3251.
Wait, someone donated. Hold on. Did you hear? Did you get the thing? Hornet Fan donated $5. Thank you very much, Hornet Fan, for the $5. Did you see? Did you see? Some people have not seen it yet. Oh, I haven't seen. Yeah. Drunk Alex Johnson too. No, I haven't seen it. How do you like the reaction? See, it's snappy, quick, and very nice, isn't it? I've actually created this myself by taking a GIF of Jill from Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and I combined it with, I actually took the cutscene from Resident Evil 1, the one where Barry saves her from becoming a Jill sandwich, and cut it out and combined it to make this beautiful reaction. Isn't it nice? Come on. Oh, Barry is great. Oh, Barry is far better. Oh, Barry is far better than whatever President Sunday has on his thing, right? Right?
Super chatted $13.44. Can you elaborate on Rawls? Rawls not saying you should get justice from the original position contradicts my massively inferior understanding of him.
Yeah, very solid, very snappy. I like it. Especially since I put like 3 of them and I'm like, oh, Barry. There's like little chorus of Oh, Barry. Oh, Barry is classic Lucy. Especially since I'm playing Resident Evil as well. And I do have Marvel vs. Capcom here. Marvel vs. Capcom.
Rawls's conception of justice is, I'm going to butcher this because it's been like a decade, but Rawls's conception, and I read it badly, Rawls's conception of justice is essentially based around a notion.
Then, okay, here's the notion. I'm gonna review it, okay, and I'm gonna get back to you. You shouldn't be like, oh, I'm gonna tell you, even though it's been a decade and even though I've read it badly. If you've read it badly and it's been a decade, then how about just say, I shouldn't tell you now. I'll review it and then I'll come back to you on it. I love it. I'm a big fan of Resident Evil. Oh, you're in for a treat because I've been playing the entire series on stream from the beginning. I've played the classic Resident Evil 1 on stream. I've played the classic Resident Evil 2 on stream. A, B, and BA scenarios. I've played Resident Evil Nemesis, the third one on stream, the original one. And now I'm playing Code Veronica. And then I'm going to play 4. Then I'm going to play 5. Then I'm going to maybe play 6. And then I'm going to play 0, 1 remake, 2 remake, 3 remake, 4 remake. By the time I finish 4 remake, maybe they will create a 5 remake. And then I'm going to play 7, 8, and 9. That's the plan. That is the glorious plan for me playing the entire series, at least the main titles. If someone donates, I might play the side games, but I'm not super hyped on playing the side games.
Of fairness, right? So in like super gruggish rudimentary terms, a way in which you can get at like an actually like fair system is one in which, oh my God, I don't even want to do this. Look.
Also, President Sunday should stop saying that he doesn't want to do a thing when he clearly does and clearly will.
The point is, Rawls's whole project is to try to understand in essentially utilitarian terms how you get at a good quote-unquote system in purely secular terms without in some sense privileging.
Oh yeah, and we might continue playing Dino Crisis. We might continue playing Dino Crisis, which is Resident Evil with dinosaurs. Dino Crisis 1 is classical Resident Evil with dinosaurs, and Dino Crisis 2 is basically just a shooter with dinosaurs.
Some like specific class or whatever position within a society. Okay, and so the veil of ignorance is like, you don't know who you are in that society.
Hello, President Lucy, says Simon Pierre Dubé. Yeah. Hello, Polyphonica. Hello. Oh, I've got a huge crowd today for a stream. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Society. Decide on what the content of that constitution
But yes,
is.
if you read something a decade ago and you say that you've read it badly, just say you're going to come back to it. Just say, I'm going to look into it again. I have a better understanding of this stuff now. I'm going to read it again, and I'm going to not read it bad this time, and I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to tell you what it's all about. Someday on a Wednesday.
Basis.
Yeah.
What this guy is saying is essentially, take a thought experiment like Schrodinger's cat. Okay, and while the cat's in the box with the poison, you don't know if the cat's alive or dead, so you can treat it as both alive and dead. And he's saying, look, man, we got a problem, okay?
Say what?
It's essentially, take of that constitution is on that basis. What this guy is saying is essentially, take a thought experiment like Schrodinger's cat. Okay, and while the cat's in the box with the poison, you don't know if the cat's alive or dead, so you can treat it as both alive and dead. And he's
actually,
saying, look,
wait, I'm pretty sure that the Schrodinger's experiment was not that you don't know if the cat is alive and dead. Actually, the point was that since the poison was connected to the particle, in quantum mechanics that exists and doesn't exist at the same time, exists in the state of existence and non-existence, that must mean that the poison is released and not released at the same time, and that in effect must mean that the cat is both alive and dead, not just that the cat is hidden in a box and therefore you don't see it and you don't know if it's alive or dead. So that's everybody just misunderstands the whole Schrodinger's thing as cat is in a box, we don't see it, so it's alive or dead. No, the point was tied to quantum mechanics of the Schrodinger's experiment. Simon Pierre Dubé, yes, it's alive, and that if you check, it will determine one or the other. Yeah, because the gas is both released and not released because the part of the thing exists and does not exist. The thing that releases the gas, right? That's the whole point of the Schrodinger's experiment.
Look, man,
There's a really nice book about Heisenberg. There's a really nice book about Heisenberg that talks about it. And I think it's actually written from the perspective of Heisenberg. It's a really nice book. A really nice book.
a problem, okay? There's a frickin' zombie cat in that box. We can't let it out of there. That's the level we're operating at here.
No, it's not called Breaking Bad.
Just like, oh my god, oh my god.
And as much as
I
as
agree,
much as
I
you're
agree.
as much as you're like, this is what it ought to be, and I agree, this is not the reality of the world.
Don't wait, you agree, Kyla? No, Kyla, don't agree with that.
Doesn't conceive of the world like that. And as much as
I
as
agree.
much as
Okay, you agree with people don't conceive the world like that. Nobody conceives
That's
the
the
world
kind
like
of
that.
irresponsible spending that causes so many business ventures to fail. You're forgetting the third rule.
At Orthodox Larpa super chatted $2.
Also, President Sunday has guilted me into reading Judith Butler. So,
I told King Critical about your cope stream with Alec.
with who?
Oh, and my debt to the world grows.
I
you're,
agree.
as much as you're like, this is what it ought to be, and I agree, this is not the reality of the world that we live in.
So I agree that it's not the reality of the world we live in to some degree, but I think that like
To a large degree.
Well, sure, and I think that that's a sad thing. I think the fact that we've like lost the connection to the things that matter beyond just our own skin, that we've
Listen, you gotta take my reading on Rawls with a grain of salt. General rule of thumb, and this is something I've learned, and I'm still learning. And I'm learning
Yes. What have you learned? What have you learned, President Sunday?
to not do it. Whenever I decide that somebody is boring, I'm not taking them seriously enough, and I'm probably missing something.
That's a horrible thing to do, actually, unironically. That's a horrible thing to... That's a horrible conclusion to come to, that if you find someone boring, you just don't treat them... What? God damn, President Sunday. God damn. Oy, 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 oy.
Latour teaches me that a lot, because Latour deals
Ay, ay, ay.
with a bunch of stuff I thought I had moved past, and he deals with it in a really positive way, and a really constructive way, and a really critical way that undermines a lot of my presumptions that I didn't realize I had. So,
Thanks.
if I find Rawls boring,
I'm still reading the 100 Years of Solitude, that book by the, Oh, I also got a book called, that's more of a history book in Polish. I'm going to translate the title. It's called The Sold Out Revolution. It has Lenin on cover. Lenin enters Russia. It's a success. Everything's according to, he acts according to wishes. That is the telegram that in 1917 General Ludendorff has sent to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It's basically this book basically talks about how Lenin was working for Germany when he did his whole revolution. That basically Germany orchestrated the whole Bolshevik revolution, which is actually not exactly a mystery or a secret at this point. When was this book published? 2010. Socialists. Like Sunday's idea that Nietzsche would be... Okay, I might need to read more Nietzsche. I might need to read more in general.
red flag, but also he's very boring.
Oh my God.
failed to understand that principles matter fundamentally
But
and
yes, I'm going to be reading about Lenin.
deeply, and to hold to these principles, to understand why we said everyone has to be equal before the law, even if I hate that guy, and why that matters is a failing of our society, and it doesn't matter what side.
But
of
don't we
the
have to
coin
deal
you
with
fall
don't
on.
we have to deal with the world as it is? We have to meet the population and meet the world where it is. We can't be like, well, it should be this and it should be that.
There's this saying in psychology.
Well, then what's the basis for saying that that's an argument against suffrage? What?
You always say, if you meet people, if your expectations for people are exactly where they are, all they'll do is be exactly what they are. Whereas if you look at people and you say, I know you can do better, I know that we can collect and do and unify, they might not get up here. But
You literally don't know that, and I don't think that's a saying. I don't think it's a saying in psychology. I think that's wrong.
That doesn't even sound like a saying. It sounds like some idea that maybe exists in psychology, but that's definitely not a saying. That's not how what a saying is, okay? There's this saying that people do this, and that's not a saying, okay?
I feel like that's actually a very harmful notion. There are a lot of people for whom optimism about possible outcomes is actually extremely destructive and cruel.
Depends. I think President Sunday is a very bitter man, to be quite honest. Oh my gosh, thank you for the $30, Polyphonics. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. I am earning money for rent. Thank you so much.
Because it means that you force them in.
Crayun Wannabe, the actual saying is people rise to the level of your expectations. And it isn't a psych saying. It's more associated with business, like corporate culture.
Into behaviors and activities that they can't handle under the delusion that they will get better somehow if you aim above the mark. But sometimes that's not what you need to do with patients.
Wait, you just said sometimes.
Probably going to get here.
Bro, let me ask you a
think they
question.
can.
Let me ask you a question, right? Like, murder is wrong, obviously. We all agree.
Generally, except for like self-defense, blah, blah, blah.
Well, it's not murder if it's self-defense, Kyla. Like,
Yeah.
murder is wrong is a redundant statement because it's murder because it's unjust killing. What you mean is homicide is wrong
Yeah.
unless it's in self-defense, right? Because if it's not in self-defense, then it's murder.
Yeah.
That would be whatever. I don't even, why do I bother?
Well, so that's not murder. Self-defense isn't murder.
You should bother President Sunday. Isn't it your job to bother?
But you...
Murder is the intentional killing of another person without
Sure.
warrant.
Right.
Okay.
And so, if you walked up to a person and just shot them and they died,
Thank you for the Rawls elaboration, by the way. Don't thank me. It's terrible.
we'd find it to be murder. And Rudyard, this is for you too. Let's say that you live in a small village in the countryside, and the year is
How the fuck does he know where I am?
1300, whatever.
Wow.
And it's you're French,
humor.
so you're all like white, brown-haired, blue-eyed people or whatever, whatever they looked like in France, and they're sitting there going and inventing croissants. And then
Your humor is no better, President
Then
Sunday.
you get people
But
who are-
you have no leg to stand on being silent over other people's humor. Okay? You don't have the moral high ground. Crayun Wannabe says, oh god, I came into the stream at this point and it was there for like 2 minutes before I left. Yeah? Yeah? Really?
clearly distinct from you, and they show up, and you say, well, we don't just kill people, we're a little apprehensive, and then you meet and you talk, and the guy pulls a knife and just stabs your village elder to death, and then throws fire in your village and then flees.
Sounds like the
He was weak.
What you are about to hear is the most beautiful sound in the galaxy.
Okay, perfect.
I secreted to Alec about your Hope vid in Side King Critical. I don't even want to know what that means, but thank you for your money.
Romans.
So then, the next day, a similar person shows up. Do you just say, no, we must stand by our principles. We do not attack. We do not, or when a similar person shows up in the same garb, with the same physical appearance, carrying a torch, do you say, one more move and you die?
I would say that both of these philosophies were silly to begin with. I don't think that the philosophy of like generosity means naivete.
I didn't ask you. I asked you a specific scenario to and tell me what you thought.
I'm
you would
telling
do.
Wait.
What? You want to be? I think this person meant to create it like the secret. It was really weird message.
I am on Team Kyla here. I don't like this. I'm so
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
I don't like this either.
Same physical appearance, carrying a torch. When a similar person shows up in the same garb, with the same physical appearance, carrying a torch, do you say, one more move and you die?
I would say that both of these philosophies were silly to begin with. I don't think that the philosophy of like generosity means naivete.
I didn't ask you. I asked you a specific scenario to and tell me what you thought.
I'm telling you why the scenario already is flawed. I think that the principle that they had initially probably was uninformed. And
Wait, is President Sunday doing the Rudyard sound now?
Somebody vape. Is that what that sound is? It sounded like somebody had.
Of course, I thought that President Sunday was actually doing the sound now. Crayun want to be like euphemism for ejaculating. I think the same person sent another weird. Oh, guy, wait, what?
Like what do you call that? What do you call that thing they do when you have like throat cancer and they put a hole in your like?
Oh, I knew that. I forgot. I knew
People
that.
can like smoke through the hole. It's like,
What?
Like that?
Smoke through the hole? I don't want to know. You know what? I don't want to know anymore. Tritectomy? Is it tritectomy? What do you call when you make a hole in someone's throat? Tracheotomy. I was close, actually. One moment. I was close, actually. I was very close.
uncomplex, and it does have to be
don't breed
updated.
outsiders,
but it doesn't have to
like
be
stand guard.
updated to an extreme opposite side, which is often what people do.
Also, that sounds like anti-immigration brain rot. What Tim Pool is putting forward, just saying. That sounds like something that a anti-immigration lunatic would say.
They go from one side and then they swap to the other side. And
I was close.
the reality is that the truth is a lot more times in the middle of what is a proper dialectic of wisdom.
So let's just back.
Ray Wannabe says it's very transparently exactly that. What happened? Aren't all these people Christians? What happens to having the empty seat for a tired traveler or whatever? Like, I don't know. I feel like modern day Christian white supremacist would be like, oh, a tired traveler, immigrant, invader, we must kill him. One more move and you die. You know?
Listen, I want to like Kyle in this conversation. I'm legitimately on team Kyle in this conversation, okay, despite everything.
Hornet's biggest fan says, well, Tim does enjoy some anti-immigration rhetoric. All of them do. All of them would do without exception. And also, it's not even sadly just an American thing. The anti-immigration, anti-asylum seekers and anti-refugee rhetoric is all around the world when it comes to the far right, and it's depressing. We are living in the era of the proto-genocide when it comes to that stuff. But I could get into a whole rant about it, but now's not the time. You don't want to be American. Sorry, Canada, you're getting lumped. Christians are the least Christian people I know. Don't worry. Europe has its moments too.
Oh, this is rough.
Maybe it's those famous European values that the white supremacists always blabber about.
Back to the question. Your proposition then is the village should not allow anyone to peacefully greet them out of fear that
Listen,
there could...
I need to assemble like a small, concise package of data points for Kyla to improve this. I can do it. You will thank me. You don't need to thank me, but you will thank me in your heart of hearts begrudgingly. Oh dear Lord, this pains me so deeply.
Could be an act of violence against them.
No, of course not. How would you take that away from what I just said?
You said that you said the initial response.
Please, like you're like,
Tim Pool is the pick me for Russia. Tim Pool has to be the pick me for Russia. Pick me for Destiny is Kyla. Pick me for Russia is Tim Pool.
right-wing nutjob.
That you said an act of violence against them.
No, of course not. How would you take that away from what I just said?
You said that you said the initial response.
Please, like.
No way. Is she debating Russia now?
What I just said.
You said that you said the initial response.
Please, like you're like right-wing nutjobs. Slap the guy silly for vaping in public, like you should.
Was probably flawed.
Right, but I said don't just do the opposite also, which is
because it might be a defector that's.
If a guy throws a torch at your village and burns down your house and kills one of your people and then flees, and then a person who looks just like him, wearing the same clothes, the same flag, whatever, shows up the next day. Do you treat him the same, or do you adapt?
Oh my God!
You should adapt, but
it is the anti-immigration slop. It is. Oh God.
My caution to people is that when they think adapt, they want to go to the opposite extreme end. When in reality, oftentimes wisdom falls between the middle of two dialectics.
Sure. So just
falls between the middle of two dialectics.
Yeah, it's like the wordier version of saying the truth is always in the middle, which is bullshit. The truth is not always in the middle. The truth does not fall in the middle of two dialectics, whatever that means. No, the truth is not always in the middle. I hate that saying. I've always hated that saying, and I disagree. Okay? When you have people that want to take all the rights away from trans people and trans people that want rights, the truth does not lie somewhere in the middle of that.
Kyla, I don't think you know what that word means.
Yeah, that's true.
Meant as kindly as possible. Okay, I need you. You were talking about your appreciation for the ancient Greeks a few minutes ago. I want you to think about that word dialectic and just think about
what it means.
Etymologically, what is that referencing?
It's the art of having a dialect. Duh. It's in the name, President Sunday. Dialect. You're having a whatever. Nobody understands my humor.
What do you do?
I would probably be cautious, probably have arms and weapons ready in case he whips out his torch to start stabbing and murdering and burning things.
He's going to stab you with a torch?
right? But inquire
Yeah.
him, ask why he's there, see what his intention is in the village, right? You could even treat him cautiously, say he gives you all of the perfect answers that makes you go like, oh, he's actually a defector from
That's
that
great.
village and he's got info.
Okay, what if he
Yeah.
throws a torch at your village and burns another building down and runs?
Well, hopefully you've
And
got
then-
guys ready and he's far
All right,
enough
all right.
away that
Yes, I get
when
it.
you read him, yeah.
He does. And then the next day, a similar looking
What is this analogy?
guy
I
in the
don't
same
know. It's a very ham-fisted way to say immigrants are bad, and you should do super tight borders that should not let anybody in. That's it. It's very not subtle. President Sunday, please catch on it. Okay, it's not subtle at all.
clothes just with a torch. Do you shoot him with an arrow?
It's not subtle.
Oh.
You
You do, actually. You can fire a warning shot first and say, hey, no people with torches allowed. We got arrows. Don't do it. But you do,
let him
actually.
throw the torch again.
No, you do neither, right? You
do
well, yeah, like
I guess
The problem, though, is that the analogy that Tim Pool is trying to do is like, well, what if a brown person is like a guy with a torch and a flag sneaking
There you go. President Sunday knows what's going on. President Sunday caught on what's going on. Very nice.
into your village to burn your house down?
Yeah, and groom your women or something, or I don't know. Inform grooming gangs in your village of the UK to be even less subtle.
Like your president, sir, employed illegal immigrants because he could pay them cheaply. They're there to make money and to not live in squalor. They're not there to burn your buildings down.
True.
this. Like the reality is that like
I'm just
wisdom.
giving you a simple scenario. Like,
Sure,
what do
and
you
I'm
do?
answering the
It's a
scenario
scenario
to
that has
say-
happened over and over again in
I
this
agree,
country.
and I'm saying that
No, it has not. That's bullshit. No, it hasn't. The fact that she says here, I agree, is just mind-numbing. Hornets, biggest fan. Tim's trying to say if one of them is bad, we should treat them all as if all of them were bad. And it's painfully, yeah, it's basically saying they're all the same. They look the same. They all act the same because they're all basically just the same. And you let one in, and then they will all act the same. So you should just not do open borders, even though no country ever, no nation state ever has done open borders, quote unquote, whatever that's supposed to mean in the context of a nation state, open borders.
the scenario of human nature is to go to black and white thinking immediately. And what I'm saying to people is that black and white thinking is
What
just
is the scenario of human nature? Scenario of human nature. Ah, God.
just destructive. What if that next guy showing up with the torch is just about to show up and like
Well, let me-
bring blacksmith and like ironworks to your village and like revolutionize your technology?
I'm going to answer.
You know what? You want to hear a reasonable scenario? You know what? I will engage in with Tim Pool's bullshit. First person came in, burned the house and run. Second person came in, build a house, burn the house and run. Third person comes in. Okay, a representative meets with the person and says, you know what? We had 2 people very recently that burned down houses and run. So if you don't mind, we're going to accompany you around the village and make sure everything's okay with you. You don't mind? Okay, you don't mind. So this bloke and this blokess, they're gonna be your guides through the village, and we just, as long as nothing happens, we're all good. Good? Okay. There you go. That's actually not an unreasonable scenario in a village setting. Okay? They're debating. I actually don't know what they're debating. I don't know what the main topic of their debate is supposed to be. They're just jumping from thing to thing. But yeah, there you go. I've offered my solution to the village dilemma. How's that sound? Does it sound reasonable? My proposed village thing?
Okay, look. I'm pro-immigration, okay? I'm pro-free movement of peoples over borders. I don't think migrants are bringing their secret ancient Wakandan technology. I don't think this analogy works either, Kyla.
Answer both of you. I said that I liked freedom and property rights, and I didn't say how that's enforced.
Yeah.
So, in many cases, monarchies or authoritarian regimes provide more freedom and property rights than democracies.
Interestingly enough, the book that I'm reading right now, the very famous piece of literature, the 100 Years of Solitude, opens with a small village where there is a group of Roma people that regularly come to this village and bring new stuff like the compass, the magnet, the the chemist set. And the villagers are like, wow, this is incredible.
And democracies supercharge the character of whatever people they're in.
Wait, what? Am I listening to that again?
Provide more. In many cases, monarchies or authoritarian regimes provide more freedom and property rights than democracies.
Yeah, that's bullshit. Yeah, especially when you're a peasant that's tied to the land, especially then, right? Especially then, you have so much more freedom than in a... This guy is depicted by some people as a historian or something. People say that this guy's a historian.
Where?
And
Good question.
Supercharge the character of whatever people they're in.
What? I want to listen to that.
Democracies.
Where?
And democracies supercharge the character of whatever people they're in.
What? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means.
So of the top 1% of societies, they are predominantly among the top 1%. They're predominantly democracies. That includes Athens, Rome, America,
Rome's. Yeah. Oh my God.
the Netherlands, and
Poland.
democracies can also
He ran out. He couldn't think of any more. He couldn't think of any more.
supercharge negative
Yeah,
characteristics.
they're not good because they're
an
democracies.
example of
They're
that?
good because they were good. They were good
Examples of
societies.
democracies
I never expected to hear that bullshit when it comes to speaking about states, okay? Oh my God. Listen, this game, don't throw all that diversity bullshit into games. Just make good games. It's just, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Those countries were not good because they were democracies. They were good because they were good. Thanks, guy in a hat. Brilliant. Thank you. That was great. That was brilliant. That was deep. Oh my goodness. This is your brain of the right wing. This is the right wing in a nutshell. The Tim Pool sphere. They were good because they were good. What do I even say to that? Greyun Wannabe says they were good because they were white is what he's saying, which doesn't even make sense, but that's what he's saying. Yeah, but the way he said it just sounded like they weren't good because they were a democracy. They were good because they were good. Thanks. Hornet's biggest fan says the only thing Rudyard is a historian on is his fever dreams and his... Oh yeah, was got trip.
If they were good societies, why did they have democratic revolutions? Or maybe they're not good societies. Maybe they had the violent reforms that are required to get democracy because they were bad societies, because a lot of people were unhappy.
supercharging negative characteristics are
Also, I don't know what that means. Supercharging negative characteristics. I have no clue what this is supposed to mean. I have no clue.
The lack of irresponsible spending that causes so many business ventures to fail. You're forgetting the third rule.
Hello, DJ Disc Machine. Why do you hate this guy so much? Or do we like this guy? I'm out of the loop. Oh, which one? What if out hissed? Where do I even begin? Oh my God, where do I be? Are you asking me why I hate what? I mean, I don't hate him, but are you asking me why I'm criticizing What If Out Hissed? It's because he is insane. He's insane. President Sunday? No, we don't hate President Sunday. We do hate Tim Pool, though. No, President Sunday is okay. We are still in the good graces of President Sunday, even though I had a very heated argument with President Sunday recently, but that's neither here nor there in the voice chat. All right. But yes. What about his is just insane, an insane person. What about? You were not there for it. You were not in the cathedral when I had quite a big audience of cathedral people for that. Okay, first I debated him on when he said he was giving me advice on how to grow, and he gave Dylan Burns as this example of a person that's bad and that's horrible with content, etc. And then we had a whole debate about Dylan Burns's documentaries not being bad, actually, which I highly disagree that his documentaries are just bad and don't add anything and don't have anything to bring to the table on the topics. I just don't agree with that. And then we debated on the necessity of conscription in Ukraine. Yeah, they are very good. So of course I'm not gonna. So I basically told him that he probably just has not watched any of them. Like it's a very, I don't want to get into it like that. Like what I'll just leave you with is that Dylan Burns documentaries are definitely not bad. It's not definitely not bad work.
At Oceananus super chatted $2. Asterisk Hauk. Rome, Reims, Rums.
Sphere in the Middle East. France was better under a monarchy than it was under a democracy.
France was not better under a monarchy than it was under a democracy. No, not by a long shot.
So was Brazil. So was Greece. A bunch of lower trust societies. Same thing with in the Middle East, democracies have performed better. In the Middle East, democracies vote in the preferences of the majority group. So when America made Iraq a democracy, the majority Shia voted in to oppress the minority Sunni.
Wait, did I mishear that?
And then the preferences of the majority group. So when America made Iraq a democracy, the majority Shia voted in to oppress the minority Sunni.
The historian, everybody.
Iraq is majority Sunni. Oh, is it actually? Oh, I didn't know that. Weird. 65%. Oh, weird. How about that?
Better under the monarchy. Is that why they revolted? Yes. France had it so good under monarchy that it led to an entire revolution. Then the whole guillotine memes. Yeah, that was good. They all ate cake, so it was all good. Under monarchy, they used to have cake instead of bread, actually.
You learn something new every day.
And then they sided with America's rival Iran.
Yeah, but it's not just sure, but the issue is like, this is why when we look at democracies, there are different systems that work better, right? Like there are certain, like, I'm sure you probably oppose, like,
I thought it was, I'm going to confess total ignorance here. I actually thought it was closer to the opposite direction. I thought it was like 60-40 Sunni majority. Weird.
Democracy, right? Like the Greeks did, because it doesn't work very well. It leads to a lot of tyranny, right? There's the tyranny of majority to be feared in democracy.
It's also slow.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, well,
no. What the fuck? No, absolutely not. There's not the majority. There's no the fear of the tyranny of the majority. That's a well-managed democracy. Actually, is not a. Especially when we speak of the whole idea of a representative democracy, for example, is that you don't have that. A tyranny of the majority over the minority, because the representatives, their job is to defend minorities. That's their job in a democracy.
People think of Iran.
There was really good writing at the beginning of the 90s. There was a lot of... Actually, have a book here in the bag with me by a very famous Polish journalist that created the biggest newspaper in Poland, Adam Michnik, very famous Polish journalist, and he wrote a book, The Chances of the Polish Democracy. This book was published in London, 1984, so even before Poland overthrew the regime. And a lot of people wrote a lot of things about democracy when it comes to Poland, because Poland was transitioning from a non-democracy into a democracy post-1989. And one person wrote something that really resonated with me, that the idea of a democracy is not that you have the majority that imposes their rule on everybody, but you have elected people in the government, the representatives of everybody, that actually defend the interests of minorities from being trampled by the will of the majority. So in this case, it would be, if the majority doesn't like gay people, it doesn't mean that gay people should not have rights, right? Just because the majority would have a whim of not liking. Interestingly enough, there was a lot of left-wing elements. Even though Poland is very highly anti-LGBT, I have some behind-the-scenes knowledge when it comes to how the constitution was formed, because my father was one of the people that co-created it. And there was a push from the left side of politics to actually include in the constitution itself the rights of gay people, to enshrine the rights of gay people within the Constitution itself. And I actually have at my house, where I usually live with Fido, a correspondence where a right-wing person is like, yeah, this whole idea of enshrining gay rights in the Constitution is stupid, and we should just include a bunch more God in it. Yeah.
Including myself, apparently, because I'm a rube. People think of Iran as...
Oh, you did? No. Yeah, my father did help co-create the Polish Constitution. After the one from 1997, he participated in the creation of the Constitution from 1997, which is still the Constitution that we use, by the way.
It's like the only majority Sunni like power. It's probably because it was the Baathists in power in Iraq, but still, it's like...
Yeah.
Weird.
My father was pretty active politically. Hornet's biggest fan says, sounds like something a right-winger would say, unfortunately. Yeah. I think I might actually do a stream where I will just bring out this letter and translate it or something. That's interesting. I feel very bitter about the fact that Poland might have, in a better world, Poland might have had gay rights enshrined in the Constitution. Imagine that, if the Polish Constitution actually had in it a whole clause around gay people's rights being secured. That would have been revolutionary, to be quite honest with you.
I legitimately didn't know that.
It is slower, but democracies, the point of all these systems is to build counters.
Would have been pretty great, honestly. I wish that would have happened. I wish.
To the major failings, right? In the case of a democracy, you have to be afraid of the majority, the tyranny of majority. And so you have to build into the system checks and balances to prevent against the tyranny of majority as much as possible.
You're appealing to wishy-washy concepts. Where
Saddam was a Sunni, yeah.
No, I'm not.
If there's an external threat, you have to assess it for what it is based on context. And you pick the highest quality person
Wishy-washy concepts.
to do the assessing of context. And the thing with John Rawls is it's not an accurate depiction of the human condition to...
Then Sunday's facial expressions, I love them. Oh my god, what if Haze is just a lunatic? Oh my god, a rambling lunatic. I think they have him here for comedy. I honestly believe that they have him here for, I don't know, comedic value.
randomly pick what individual you would be, because that's not how this works. Individuals have their own genetics, and groups...
You had me for a second. Rudyard, for a millisecond there. For a nanosecond.
Nanosecond, yeah.
Cooking. There was a little spark in the pan. And then you completely lost me.
have different genetics, and people are rewarded for the choices they make. And so
that's not a refutation of Rawls. Rawls hypothetical can exist.
So
sure, but you're saying that Rawls doesn't work because there's no baked in genetics, but that's not the point of the hypothetical.
Okay, Kyla, you gotta chill. You gotta chill.
Let me finish the argument. Okay. So Rawls operates under an underlying Christian assumption.
Rudy is slow and dumb and generally ill-informed.
Yeah, true. I've noticed.
He's more informed than me about the demographics of Iraq, apparently.
I mean, I don't know, broken clock or something.
You can let him talk and then you can respond to the point. You don't need to compete with him for space.
That there's indeterminate souls that you shove into a population. That's not what happens. A population is made up of individuals with different traits that make choices. And so you can't say, if I were to randomly pick a certain population, what would I be? Because there's nothing random. An individual is the aggregation of all of the choices that went through them. And so you can't say, if I were to be born in a blank society, because the society is informed by the contextual decisions of everyone involved up to that point.
I agree. Rudyard, why aren't you an anarchist?
It strips context from the entire human condition.
So
this is like saying trolley problems strip context because they engage in hypotheticals.
That is true, but I would have just accepted that one, Kyla. I would use that one to bridge
the gap.
Well, you're not an anarchist, and you're essentially an authoritarian conservative who doesn't realize it. So I don't know if you can do that. But I would use that to bridge that to well, now your state-centric model falls apart then, because if societies are contingent sets of on-the-ground organic relationships
between individuals,
top-down, designators like race, nation, etc., they don't help you, because those don't take stock of the history of the community. Those
Actually,
asserts.
Actually, if we look at the history of how the nation state formed, the formation of the nation erased local communities, erased local forms of language, erased all the peoples that were deemed outside of the nation, and they were deemed a part of a different nation, and therefore were deported in a massive wave of ethnic cleansings during World War I, specifically. So yeah, it really doesn't. I'm not much of a nationalist. Just spoiler alert. I'm not the biggest fan of the nation state as a concept. It has its flaws.
A mythological history based on some set of externally identifiable characteristics. And then you just talk about those instead of like, oh, what actually are the technologies that this community has developed in order to function as a community?
Instead of saying Rawls, just make the argument of, just articulate the...
This video feels like a word salad of vaguely philosophical terms. It's actually a genuinely serious conversation, which I'm actually kind of pleasantly surprised by. It's not very high level, but this is a genuinely interesting conversation. They're actually trying to do an interesting conversation.
Nation states are made at best true. That's true. Hornet's biggest fan.
It's a bunch of suits trying to prove they aren't suits. Generally, I would agree that's the case with every single person in the call, but I actually think they're trying here. They're woefully ill-equipped, but they're genuinely trying, which is weird. It's weird to see. Maybe I'm naive. I think it feels like it's a real thing, though.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Especially to impulse whole anti-immigration shtick. Yeah, that was no. President Sandy is being far too charitable towards this whole mess, in my opinion. But what do I know?
Is the most beautiful sound in the galaxy.
What do I know? I might have to go to a pharmacy, by the way, at some point and get my mom some medicine. Just a heads up. At some point in the near future, I'll be going. Oh yeah, I'm gonna start a poll while we're at it. I'm gonna start a poll. Hold on. What game after I'm back from pharmacy? 1. Life. 2. Tales of Berseria or other RPG. Name it in the chat if you want other RPG. Of course, you will have to name it if you choose other RPG. FF14. It's an MMO, so it's a separate thing. And what else can I play? Oh yeah, Resident Evil. Red Code Veronica. I'm actually quite biased towards Code Veronica because Dr. Johns has said that I'll finish playing the series in 5 years, and I don't agree with that assessment. Someone wrote a comment in my under my video saying, and I quote, "Isn't being trans just being delusional and desperately wanting to feel special?" And I wrote back to this comment. I just wrote, no.
U.S. will engage in limited occupation starting with Keshem Island and key port cities like might have an expanded occupation of Iran like they did in Syria. I don't know that they have. I don't know there's the political will to survive boots on the ground and the casualties that would bring. But we'll see. Thank you, Gingeros.
The argument.
Sure. Yeah. The veil of ignorance is this thought experiment in the way that trolley problems are thought experiments, which is designed to help you decide which principles you want in your society.
Okay. So she's got that right.
So if you imagine a society where you can't know who you will be in that society, what are some of the principles you hope are there? Rule of law, right? And like fair treatment before justice.
Although okay. I need to send I need to make sure that, okay. Do I want to do this? Do I want to help these satanic individuals? You know what? Yes, I do actually. There is a paper that critiques Rawls on particular terms that we have talked about on this channel because it's a paper on methodological anarchism and it responds specifically to Rawls and Rawls's institutional framework. And that would be useful here. And it would actually provide a really powerful rebuttal to Rudy as well. I'm gonna make a cheat sheet for DGG and I'm going to infect them with better political science. That's what I'm gonna do. I have decided. I have spoken.
Would be one that we would all be for, because I don't ever want to be in the minority group that just gets treated poorly by the justice system because I happen to be in that minority group.
So how would you define society?
The way that we...
Kyla is really dumb. In this call, she's not actually. She's actually doing okay here. She's not being dumb here. There are parts of this that are like very ill-informed. She's actually...
Why am I in a buffering hell all of a sudden? What happened? Suddenly I'm in the buffering hell. 42:53. I don't know what happened suddenly.
by the justice system because I happen to be in that minority group.
So how would you define society?
The way that we
So when I watched this
Kyla is
part
really,
again-
really dumb. In this call, she's not actually. She's actually doing okay here. She's not being dumb here. There are parts of this that are like very ill-informed. She's actually doing kind of okay. I'm sort of taken aback. She's actually doing pretty good. She's
Taken
actually
aback?
doing pretty good.
Why are you taking a
Like
bath?
certainly in the context of my expectations, she's doing very good.
I don't know, the way that we usually do, a collection of people with like somewhat unified culture.
As someone, by the way, who would jump at the opportunity to take shots at Kyla, I think she's actually doing an okay job here.
Values probably bordered by a nation state that like unifies together.
That's a great definition. I would argue that
Lest anyone be under the impression that I am not fair.
by that definition, which I agree with, there's several distinct societies that exist within the United States. And each and every one of these societies is willing to use violence and lawfare against those who would threaten their moral worldview.
What does this have to do with the veil of ignorance?
So you're saying in a society, like, who would you want to be? What rules do you want? And I would say, yes, that works wonderfully in a collection of individuals with a shared moral worldview and probably a national border.
What?
Why a national border?
Yeah,
But what
that is
happens
a
when
good.
they're-
That is a great question. Why a national board? That makes no sense. That is stupid. Tim Pool is being stupid.
Already talking about a collection of individuals. Why do you need an additional border to border the bordered group?
Society is up against another society overlapping on its territories with a completely different
Also,
worldview.
you could just do the veil of ignorance in the context of a local community, and suddenly this whole bullshit around a national border falls apart.
Well, this is part of how you can engage in the veil of ignorance is going, well, I don't know who I am in this society, but how do I want that society theoretically to engage in foreign policy? Well, one of them, I would say, is I want my government to protect me as a citizen of whatever this nation state is, because I don't want other nation states coming in, stomping me and killing me and
This
taking
is more
my
so
land.
like an example that I'll use that's probably the least egregious would be open air fish markets in New York City.
Where are you going with this, Tim?
I
I
don't
think
know.
they're absolutely disgusting, and they
Open air fish markets?
shouldn't be allowed.
Because they smell.
It's not just that; it's the rotting fish and flesh.
That's the smell, Tim.
Street.
And it just it's all over the
Spray
street.
with a hose.
And then it's just
On the
rotting for
sidewalk.
days. And when you go to Lower East Side, it's just everywhere you go.
Go to Houston.
The people who live there, that's their society. They are largely Chinese and Southeast Asian.
You know there were fishmongers in Britain, right? Just so you know, there
Yeah.
were people who
God, Tim Pool raging against Vietnamese people because Southeast Asia.
were
That's
selling
Vietnam.
the same way. Are people selling fish in the exact same way in a bunch of European countries, in Britain? What are you talking about? What are you talking about, dude?
What
you
a
ever been
racist.
you ever been to a harbor?
What a-
They'll sell you that the exact same way. What are you talking about?
What a racist prick! I swear to God.
They don't care about open air fish markets. But the people of New York,
Hey, wait, is he suggesting that illegal immigrants are responsible for open air fish markets smelling bad?
Maybe. Who knows with Tim Pool? He's very locked in on that point.
That's not what migrants are doing generally, Tim. They're not.
Tim is a
Exactly, the
dumbass.
Asians. He's talking about the Asians. Well,
Tim is a dumbass, generally speaking. Also, there are ways to kind of preserve the fish, like when you put the fish on ice, etc. There are a lot of places that have, the whatever.
that's the thing, though. It's like I forgot who I'm talking about here. Of course, he hates Chinese people. Of course, he does.
have started to move away because they don't like it. And this has created an entrenched
Really? I don't know if that's true.
enclave. Enclaves are bad, I believe. Having a group of
Sir, you live in a bunker.
Also, enclaves are not necessarily bad,
You don't get to say enclaves are bad
quote unquote.
when you live in a bunker.
people that form their own subdivision, that have their own rules, is going to create animosity and violence because you will create.
No, it won't. It's called a local community. Look it up. That's bullshit. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. That's just dumb. That is very dumb, Tim. Local communities have existed for centuries and they have not led to violence.
Two distinct moral worldviews at odds with each other. Now, the reason I say
Also, just because you have different worldviews, it doesn't mean that they have to be at odds with each other. That's also nonsensical.
this example is because it's one of the least egregious, meaning the people of New York don't really care all that much about the open air fish markets. They just move away.
Yeah.
They don't care about open air fish markets. They just take the tremendous inconvenience of moving their entire way of life to a different location.
True. Yes, Tim is not very smart. Yes.
Okay.
We all get it.
They stopped living in the area, more Chinese people moved in, and now the area is dominated by Chinese. But you could take a look at this and bring it to its most egregious, and that is like Chicago crime and shooting violence.
Sure.
So you have areas where there may be a middle-class black family, and gangbangers will come into that territory, or just young black men who are violent for whatever reason they may be.
Fuck me. Fuck those racists on the right. God damn. Always, inevitably, right? Always. Right. Of course.
And they will create crime. This will cause the higher
President Sunday laughs. I just roll my eyes, to be honest.
income people to flee and then just dramatically impoverish the area.
Yes, exactly. Violent young black men are constantly migrating in droves into high-income cities. This is a
Fuck me, man. Image of parachuted gangbangers. God damn.
well-known problem.
Of course.
Gentrification is a scourge.
And create more crime and violence throughout the area. So then the argument we would make is, what rules do we want? Well, our principles would suggest that you are innocent until proven guilty, and you should not be searched or have objects seized without, something that warrants it.
Probable reason.
But
And probable cause. And so what happened in New York is they said, this neighborhood is where most of the shootings and violence happens, so this is where we're going to stop and frisk people. It also coincided with being a black neighborhood. The progressives then said, why are the majority of
The evil progressives.
stop and frisks black?
it's an excellent question, Tim.
And the government, which these are Democrat-appointed police, said, that's just where the crime is. Then they said, no more stop and frisk. You need to stop because you're doing it to black people. So you have two distinct moral worldviews.
Sure.
You can't do this only
That's not how that works.
Don't concede that, Kyla.
to black people.
Yeah, please don't.
But it's just the neighborhood.
All is forgiven. I'm on your side. Don't concede
Yeah,
that,
don't,
Kyla.
please
crime
don't.
happens.
Yeah.
Your principles are meaningless in this regard because both groups are going to assert power over the other to make their world happen.
Well, this is where democracy can be beautiful or bad, right? And so
We all get disappointed in the end. Pretty Wannabe says that's where the crime was found because that's where they were looking for it.
There's 2 minutes left of this video.
All of a sudden.
Actually, like under 2 minutes left of this video. Okay. This better be good.
the thing you're posing, right? Say you say
Don't hold your breath, ever. Vladimir says, yeah, Tim, all those people of color are for sure trying to hurt the white men for no particular reason. True. Always true. Always real. Oh my god. Hornet's biggest fan says, the police says that's where the crime is and you trust them? Of course. Of course.
I don't want to have enclaves in a society. And my counter to that would basically say, I think with the size of nation states, it's almost unavoidable. Even just think about the way that geography shapes a culture.
Doesn't work. They're fine with reducing the size of the nation state. Richard Spencer was fine with having a frickin' white mini city state, like the frickin' boonies somewhere.
Right? If you've got a nation that's mountainous and full of pine trees, and it's also in a nation with beaches and fishing, and it's also in a nation with, insert different geographies, right? The people and the culture that are going to emerge from these, even just geographies alone, are probably going to have some of the different values. They're going to have things where they want to prioritize fishing industry more, but it's possible that the lumber industry is like having issues and they want more advocacy. And so they'll always have these competing interests.
This is like Ocarina of Time demography.
And I think the beauty of a democracy that's functioning well
Everything changed when the Fire Nation invaded.
is that
I don't know why Ocarina of Time in particular, but
it takes
I love Ocarina of Time.
two things
should play it on
where
stream.
actually there might be reasonable
That's the
concern.
kind of irresponsible spending that causes so many business ventures to fail. You're forgetting the third rule.
It had to be a
At
fucking...
Genjeros330 super chatted $2. What Tim take on Kania? Stolnicht and Jewish community.
What a weird pronunciation of that.
Right? There
Let
is
me
reason-
let me ask you a question.
Can I finish my thought and then I'll let you ask the
This is a
question?
long
Hey, you
point.
went for 5 minutes. I'll
Get
get
used to
2
it, buddy.
minutes, okay?
You've been doing this to me for years, T-Bone.
If you
I
can
promise
succinctly
I'll
make
wrap
the
it.
point.
Okay. The beauty of a dialectic of a democracy is you
Oh dear, Nick, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Nick. Big Nick, I am so sorry. You don't deserve this. Whatever else, anything you don't...
Who's Big Nick?
Oh dear. Poor Nick.
can take two opposing values, and what the idea is to find a compromise within both, where ideally you find the best pieces
so
of
here's
each.
what
And
Raider and says, this is random, but I'm getting so pissed at iTunes right now. I just want to manually move a music file and I won't let me. And also my internet is taking is being bad.
Why I'm interrupting.
Okay, but the problem, Kyla, is that you're buddy-buddy with someone who thinks the Palestinians should be genocided. So you're not the one to deliver this message. I'm sorry.
Interrupting.
Yeah.
I feel like that is rudimentary, and we understand that completely. It's not the point that I'm making. So I'll give you a better example. Dearborn, Michigan has several instances of female genital mutilation among young girls.
Yeah.
That is
Several? Like, what are we talking about? 7? Hang on. Dearborn, how many instances of female circumcision?
Too many to count.
Looks like it's under 10.
Oh, never mind.
It's
You
not a
can-
lot.
You can count it just fine. Never mind.
explicitly illegal in the United States. But in that community, it happens because there's no law enforcement that will stop it.
Right.
You are not going to get a white cop to go into a Muslim community and say, stop doing this, because they'll say, it's our community. In fact, they even
That's not how that works at all. That's just bullshit. I don't know where Tim is getting that from.
It's our community, what?
have their own
This is just rambling. Yeah, the police force is helpless because the Muslims have their community and they just drove off the police. No, what the fuck? What is he talking? What is he even rambling about? He's living in his own world. Maybe he should leave the bunker from time to time. What the hell?
de facto versions of police. Thanks for checking.
Thanks for chicken. You're welcome.
Thanks for chicken.
You know what? 7 out of 10.
See, that was funny. Thanks for chicken was at the end was funny. But he would need to see minorities outside of his bunker, says Inkub. That's true. That might scar him for life.
Kyla didn't do bad.
Oh,
She didn't do bad.
damn.
That was actually okay.
Damn.
Poor Nick.
Who's Nick?
But she didn't do badly.
All right, I'm gonna go to a pharmacy now to get my mom some nice